Welcome to the Breakaway News Show. Today is Thursday, May 16th, and boy, do we have a great show for you. We have three incredible guests coming on, and I think Simon, part of the Breakaway USA team, is also going to join us, so make sure you stick around. Simon's been in a lot of funny videos for Freedom 2.0, so I think we're going to premiere one of those today. It's his blue-haired Karen, pansexual, non-binary character or whatever. But I'm glad to be back. It is Thursday. What's up, guys?
Oh, man, just living Thursday.
Oh, man, if you guys have not been following, you guys got to make sure you're checking out my Twitter, because I have been not only tweeting about GameStop and AMC to the moon, baby, to the moon. We're going to get it back. Don't worry. But along with that, I've also been every day I am either in or passing the courthouse, Cook County Courthouse in Chicago, where just last week the Palestinian flag was raised. This week the Israel flag was raised. And if there's any more protests, anything like that, I will be doing my best to cover it, because I've been working out there. So make sure that you guys are checking that. I don't know if you guys have seen, but it's been really interesting to be right there every day, where there's a lot of different things going on. It's definitely a hub for controversial instances. So,
you know, I've been seeing these little pop-ups. I'm calling it pop-up tent cities of the pro-Hamas protesters or whatever, and it seems like they're losing the power they had behind them, right? The Columbia, the UCLA one that I went to and I saw firsthand, and then you have a little pop-up wannabe ones, but they're not really, like, people are over them.
Yeah.
I mean, even the mainstream media, I think, is kind of over it. Like, how many times can you do the same thing over and over again until people stop watching? So
the only people that actually benefited from all of this is, I think, the homeless people, because they figured out, like, wow, if I set up my tent inside a college town, one of these college towns, then hey, I may have a permanent place where I can live now. So,
well, they had medical tents, they had food tents, they were living large, living large,
living good, living life, right? Well, fellas, why don't we jump into our first topic of the night, because I know we have a packed night tonight with a bunch of guests. So we have amazing news that we got yesterday. So from the New York Times, we saw that President Biden and Donald J. Trump have agreed to two debates, one on June 27th on CNN and one in September 10th on ABC. The first onstage clash between the former president and his successor in more than 3 years. Fellas, immediate thoughts about that when you guys saw that headline? Well, first of all, actually, why don't we play this clip real quickly? It was actually Biden calling out Trump to debate him. And notice real quickly, the clip is 15 seconds. And I want you guys to count with me how many times the video cuts, because to get, I don't know, 20, 30 words out, he had to cut a bunch of time. So this is the current status of our president. So
wait, this is like a New York Times thing?
Not New York Times. The video should be, it's Biden challenging Trump. So
and this is where Biden is trying to, I think I saw this. Yeah, this was a weird video. This is
an important
hilarious.
Do we have this getting pulled up? I can make sure it gets pulled up too if we need to. I know we do not have producer Cody tonight, everybody, just so you know.
Yeah.
So we're flying by the seat of our pants. We're doing our best.
Our trousers. All right. So let's see our most esteemed and very well-spoken President Biden talk.
Donald Trump lost two debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Donald Trump lost two debates to me in 2020.
Wait, can we restart it and play it one more time? I want to call something out every time that we see it. I'm going to count. I'm going to be counting, and I'll tell you what I'm counting after we're done doing this one more time. 15-second video. Go.
Donald Trump lost two debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays. Donald Trump lost two debates to me in 2020.
So for anybody who doesn't do like content or video editing or anything like that, you might not realize the significance of the number 5 and what I was just calling out there. But the reason why I call that out, and I'm sure everybody on the panel, David, Fabian knows this, and maybe even some of the people watching, is there was 5 different cuts, meaning that he was not, it's noticeable that he was not able to get through that 15 seconds, even memorize it, think about it, anything. in one take. He had to do 5 stops to take that 15-second video, which to me, I wasn't even able to pay attention. And I know that not everybody is like this, but I wasn't even able to really pay attention to what he was saying in there because that's what I noticed. That was the main thing I noticed from that entire video.
Well, if you think that that's absurd, let me just add a little bit more context to what's going to happen around the debate, because there's apparently some restrictions, and this came from Fox News. So there are 4 restrictions applied to this debate. No audience. The Biden campaign apparently heavily criticized the idea of making this whole thing of a huge spectacle with large audience and whatnot. And no RFK Jr. That's the second one. They don't want any other third-party candidate or anything like this. Limited news outlets, because Biden demands to limit the number of major news outlets that can host a 2024 presidential debate. And this is the best one, guys. Candidate mics must mute after time expires. Apparently, Biden's campaign blasted the campaign committee essentially for allowing extensive crosstalk and interruptions during the 2020 debates between Trump and Biden. So now they both demand that candidates' microphones be muted once their allocated times of speaking is expired. So that's the current status. Not only do we have a president that sits here and clips, takes 5 times for him to, they cut essentially 5 times within 15 seconds, this call out essential videos, but now they're adding all of these restrictions. It's absolutely crazy.
So this is not a debate show then. This is a one-liner for what, or a 1 minute little whatever it is, and then you're done. Like how are the American people going to make a decision if they haven't already made one? I don't know anyone who's still undecided yet. It's pretty actually wild that I've seen so few people say, I don't know who I'm going to vote for in May when the election is in November. But how are the American people supposed to have any semblance of a competitive debate to inform themselves and make a decision if this is a shenanigans the Barnum and Bailey circus that is the Biden administration is trying to put forth? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, here's one thing I'll say is I'd love to complain about this debate, and I will. Like, don't get me wrong, I will. I like a good spirited debate. I think it's important that our presidential candidates get up on a stage. This is why I support even RFK Jr. If RFK Jr. meets the minimum requirements, the 15% and whatever the donor requirements are. If he meets those requirements, I think he absolutely should be allowed on that stage. But the fact of the matter is that statistically, the vast majority, like up to 99+% of people who are watching presidential debates know who they are voting for or know who they favor prior to the debate even starting. Historically, presidential debates have little to no effect on on how people vote, and tend to be more of a circus, which is exactly what. But the difficulty that I'm having with this is that Biden is basically coming out and practically making it a circus. It'd be one thing if he said gloves off, do whatever. People are going to vote the way they want to, whether or not this debate happens. But he's coming in acting as if he needs all these safeguards, when in reality, anybody who's going to vote for Biden knew so before they watched the debate.
Yeah, but hey, listen, the reason he needs to say the safeguards is because I agree with you that people decide who they want to vote for before the debate, but that doesn't mean that they can't lose their support because of an awful performance. So the one thing that's really going for Biden right now is that the standard is the same thing he had the standard during the State of the Union. It's just that this man should survive the debate, like not collapse right there on stage, right?
Yeah.
But the reason we have no audience, no third party, RFK would grill him on stage, right? Limited news outlets, candidates mics must be muted. So it's not even them muting it, it's somebody else muting it. All of these reasons why he's safeguarding is because the little support that he already has, he needs to garnish it, right? And here he might have the ability actually by debating. I don't know what he's trying to do with this whole debate idea, but he can actually lose more support here. I don't see any way to gain support.
Well, there's that. I think another thing that's really difficult to consider as well is that not even just the fact that they can cut his mic off, it's also what's going on in court right now. I mean, when you think about this, right now, a judge has been very, very strict with Trump on what he can say about Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. If Hey Simon, great to see you. Great
Simon,
to have
everyone.
you, everybody. Simon, everybody. But if a judge can gag him on what he can say, what he can and can't say about Stormy and Michael Cohen, at a minimum, who knows what else that he could also gag him about saying when it comes to what he could say on a debate stage. And along with that, Michael Cohen and Stormy have not been quiet in outside of the courtroom. Who's to say that Biden doesn't even at a minimum bring up those cases to which Trump can't even respond on a presidential debate stage when confronted about things that he's currently dealing with? This is going to be absolute. This is no matter who is hosting. I see somebody, Joe Rogan or Tucker should host. Sure, never going to happen. They should, but it's never going to happen. It's going to be CNN,
Jake
MSNBC
Tapper.
people.
That's Dana Bash and Jake Tapper.
Bash.
So here's the thing: it's already announced it's going to be a 3-4-on-1. And then even on top of that, the judge
as
is
it always
have
is when
their
Trump's
say.
involved in a debate.
Yeah, so it's going to be rigged against Trump, and Trump is still going to come out and beat the shit out of all of them.
But
the one thing
I
just want to just real quickly, Fabian, the one thing is that in the video you saw him say, "I heard that you're free on Wednesdays, right?"
Yeah.
What day is the debate? Do you guys know? It's not Wednesday. It's Thursday.
Wow.
So at the end, I was also thinking, I'm like, okay, well, what happens if this whole Stormy Daniels trial still ends up going on in, what is this, 4 weeks?
Then
5 weeks?
basically Biden has a one-person debate by himself, which, I mean, he can probably debate himself. It sounds like he's challenging himself to talk every time.
Imagine the narrative that they're going to spin with this is that, like, oh, Trump's not able to come to the debate because he's in court. They're not going to say that. They're going to say Trump backs down from the debate, blah, 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 and all that stuff. So I'm kind of confused. He literally called him out straight away. Said, "I know you're free on Wednesdays, yet he's debating him on a Thursday."
Simon, here's what I would do. And I hope to God Trump does this if they cut his mic off. He should walk over to Biden's microphone and just start speaking into it to take over his microphone. I mean, listen, the hammock video we saw on the bus the other day, the guy said, "Hey, there's not a no hammock sign. Show me the no hammock sign." So Trump should say, "Hey, you never said I couldn't go up to his microphone and not speak into it." I mean, what are you going to do? Cancel the whole debate?
You know, the thing about all of this, though, the craziest thing is that all the court cases and all the overt corruption against Trump has been his campaign. Like, his campaign has just been to say, look at what they're doing. It's very obvious. They've actually given him a narrative to run with all along in terms of how corrupt they're willing to openly be with the court system, for example. So he's been able to use all the attacks as great framing for his whole campaign. I can't see how this is going to play against him in any way. To me, it's all just going to add on to that.
Simon brings up a good point, because not only did it boost him during the primaries, I mean, just to remind everybody, DeSantis was at 50%.
Oh, yeah.
Trump was at 30%, right? And so it boosted him like crazy during the primaries. And I believe that everything that you're seeing right now, it's not because of immigration, inflation and stuff like that. Obviously, those are big things that are swaying people over to Trump. But the biggest reason, I think, is because, again, they keep going after him. And I think more and more of the American people are noticing, okay, this isn't some legal, rightful way to go after somebody. This is literally using the courts to persecute a political opponent that you simply just don't like.
Well, absolutely. And even with that, I mean, I notice at least once a month. Really, it's probably like once every 2 weeks. There's a video from some mainstream media that where it'll be somebody who says, so far I'm doing better. I'll see somebody who says something or to a man on the street interview, and it'll go viral on MSNBC, CNN, and they'll be asked like, you're outside of this Trump trial. Like how could you support this man who has all these indictments and everything? And then the person will be like, heck, I wasn't even sure about it, but then I saw him get like all these indictments and I was more sure about him because of that. When you see that happening, man, it's crazy to me, because then the MSM, the mainstream media, gets so dumbfounded. They're like, how could this happen? How could this happen? And it just shows you how out of touch they truly are.
Yeah, there's this video I want to play, and Dom Lucra, very cool guy, met him over at AmFest last year. He posted this, and this is just serving as a reminder to everyone who forgot or may have never even seen Trump debate, because this is maybe your first time voting. This is what he did to Jeb Bush. And back then, Jeb Bush had all of the support, all of the money, and all of the mainstream media supporting him. And this is what happened when Jeb Bush tried to get tough with Trump.
This is a tough business to run for
I know
president.
you're a tough guy, Jim.
And we need to have a leader. Real tough. You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the
Let's see. I'm
presidency.
at 42 and you're at 3. So
Doesn't
far
matter.
I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing better. You know, you started off over here, Jeff. You're moving over further and further. Pretty soon you're going to be off the end.
It doesn't do a thing to solve the problem. It doesn't do a thing to solve the problem.
This is
Nothing like 2016 Trump right there.
Well, the funny thing is that Jeb Bush did something that was really bad. He started looking around to kind of like look for support.
Mhm.
It almost seems like he was, he was looking around to see like, hey, is anybody around that I can talk to, which is very not good for his optics. And obviously, we all know what happened. The guy ended up dropping out because his poll numbers got even lower than 3% at some point. So.
Absolutely. Well, Jeb Bush is also the same one who held a rally for himself, like just his own rally, got everybody there. Everybody was there supporting him. And then he said something and then had to go, please clap.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Please clap.
Wow.
That was a great campaign trail. Nothing like those 2016 primaries,
Oh, God.
honestly.
Please
That was
clap.
such a crazy time.
Yeah,
But it was weird. They were simpler times in a weird way.
You're absolutely right. I mean, at
Right.
that point, we didn't have a single presidential candidate indicted by the Justice Department of the current sitting president. I mean, what the? Who would have effing expected that? Seriously.
That's wild. Well,
That-
listen, I would like RFK to be in the debates. I know it's, a lot of people don't want that, but I want Joe Biden to look as bad as possible. So if he's not getting hit from the right, he's going to get hit from the left. And having two people, which, RFK and Trump agree on, I think, a lot more than Trump and Biden. So they both are just talking smack on Biden the whole time. They're not really attacking each other to a certain extent, but not nearly to the extent that they're going after Biden, because RFK knows what his role is. He knows what his role is, and Trump obviously knows what he's in it for. So it's going to be interesting to see it.
It will be. The one thing though that I worry is that, like, obviously I want him to be on the stage because I think that's the best thing for our country, is to make sure that as many presidential candidates that are actually polling pretty nicely should be on that debate stage. But like you said, Trump and him agree way more than Trump and Biden do. So at the end of the day, that could actually end up hurting Trump in a sense. That could end up pulling more potential voters from Trump to RFK Jr., I think, especially when they start to talk about immigration and the COVID, lockdowns or tyrannical rules and stuff like that. So,
well, RFK also has some as Ricky Ricardo would say, some explaining to do, because he has some pretty extreme stances that he's going to have to own up. For instance, he literally said in a video that the government should have control of the smart meters. So whenever we're using too much energy, they can shut off things. He said, yeah, they can shut off things, like hair dryers and smart washing machines and things like that. Basically saying, yes, the government can control when you have power and when you don't have power, depending on how the grid is doing. And obviously he's up for abortions until the day of birth. So he has a lot of very interesting stances that I think a lot of people aren't going to be happy with.
No, absolutely. I mean, I even think about, because I've heard of people talking about, we're going to have these smart cities and they're going to be so convenient. We're going to influence tech and everything. There was even a bill that was just brought a few months ago to Congress that was about how we could shut off cars, and Congress would have basically the ability to shut out, or our police departments, our law enforcement would be able to shut off people's cars by a certain point within the next 10 years. And it's they say that it's because, we want to stop people like drunk drivers and things like that. But that's how they'll get you, man. That's how they'll get you. That's why I was even car shopping last weekend, and I didn't even want a remote start car, because I want as little tech that the government can get their hands on in my vehicle, disrupting my ability to travel and my ability to get away from them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's the one thing I've always had an issue with those old battery cars, is like, well, you're kind of depending on the government at the end of the day. So let's go.
Absolutely.
Simon, you have are we playing your video today, Simon, or is it not ready yet?
I don't have any 30-second ones yet. I'll have to make it. If we want a 30-second one, then we'll wait till next time.
We could do a full minute.
Yeah. Let's do the full minute one if you have
Okay.
it.
Yeah. Let me.
So what's the character's name, Simon? Is it
I think I've decided on Giselery.
Oh God. Who has a shotgun and a shell so I can Kurt Cobain myself right now?
That's hilarious. Yeah, so if you guys haven't seen it, it's like she's like a pansexual, non-binary,
It's
blue-headed
a
Karen.
non-binary vegan lesbian.
Oh my gosh, I could smell her from here.
She black too? You should do blackface with it, Simon. I think that'd be really funny.
Well, I mean, he is Canadian, and his Prime Minister Trudeau also did blackface.
Yeah, so it's okay.
It'd be an homage to his supreme leader, the
Exactly.
supreme Ayatollah.
Well, I do hear now though that if you do something like that on social media, you can get arrested up in Canada, right? That's a new thing, right?
They're trying to pass this bill. Yeah, they're trying to pass this bill that makes it a hate crime to be mean on the internet. But not only that, they want it so that they could retroactively go after you for something you said in the past.
Good.
It's good,
That's
right?
gay. That's really gay.
I think that's good.
That's exactly what's happening in was it Scotland or Ireland? I believe it's Ireland, where Ireland, where they have this new law where if you hear something or you believe someone's saying something offensive, you can report it and then they'll be investigated. And it's also retroactive. So
that's gay-tarded.
That is extremely gay-tarded. That's what's her name? Simon, your character's name? Giselery. That's very Giselery.
Jarrell, I think you should make it. I don't even want to say this one. It just came to my head. Giselery Cunton. I think Giselery Cunton. Like
that's a very British name.
Yep.
It's very nice. Very nice.
Do I have to send you this video? Or is there a way for me to load it up?
You can send it to me, or you can send me the link.
Okay.
Oh, Ryan Mack makes he makes a good point. South Park would be banned in Canada.
Oh yeah. Oh
yeah. Everything Canada.
I would honestly just go to Canada just for the handcuffs. Or is that what they do, or do they just like put a bunch of maple syrup on your hands and hope they stick together? Like, is that what?
I think the Mounties come and then they just ask you politely to go to jail and just walk there on your own volition because everyone's nice.
Well, it depends. It depends. If you're part of any kind of freedom convoy, they'll stomp you with horses and shut down your bank account.
Of course.
Ooh, that's very true.
There's that.
That's very true.
Of course.
And then come after crypto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I just sent you that video, Fabian.
Okay.
Yeah, they really took it pretty far, but of course it's been ruled that the Emergencies Act, Trudeau's Emergencies Act, was illegal for him to utilize.
I saw that. Anytime I see Canadian news, I send it to you and Michael because for all you listeners out there who don't know, Simon and Michael run the Liberty North podcast on the Breakaway USA network, and it's all Canadian news. And it's extremely enlightening to see that the amount of things. So Canada spent a lot of time as I mean, just being that kind of neighbor who you're like, I don't know what they do up there, but they don't really say anything, so just leave them alone. They're like the upstairs neighbor you never saw but never made any noise, and now they're making all the damn noise. So I'm looking up like, hey guys, what in the hell's going on? What are you doing up there? And it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild what's going on in Canada.
Absolutely.
All right.
Oh, I think Canada muted Simon there.
It's your Trudeau muted me.
Yeah,
no, I'm
exactly.
saying it's kind of like we're tip of the spear. We're kind of like on the front lines of this war against globalists and their new world order. It's like they're testing Canada out first. So
absolutely,
strategically, you guys should be watching what's going on.
I heard that out.
All right. Well, next up, we have a very big announcement. We're going to have Seek Smith of the Mom Army and Adam Boyd join us because there is an announcement that they're going to be making, and you need to listen because it's going to be something extremely cool and something I feel very closely with. So we'll be right back after this short commercial. All right. And next up, we are going to have, and we have to change format to fit everybody on, but we're going to have Seek Smith and Adam Boyd join us and share their big announcement with us. So let's go ahead and get them up here. There they are. Hey,
Welcome
Seek.
to
Hey,
the
Adam.
show, guys.
Hey, what's going on?
Hello, friends.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. I'm very excited. So you can, you know, I want to get the word out, and I know that it's been kind of in secret. There's something really cool that you guys are going to be doing very soon. So I would love to hear about it, and so would everyone else.
I'll start first. I just want to share that we've got a lot going on behind the scenes for Mom Army and Dad Army. We're doing a whole entire relaunch and restructuring of the organization. We've got a new website coming out later, like end of this month, early June. We've got another big project that we'll announce later with Mom Army, but I'm super excited to have Adam Boyd with us. He's part of our Dad Army team, but he's been working very hard on getting this initiative off the ground. And so I'm going to turn it over to him to announce what's happening very soon.
Can I real quick, I want to hear that announcement. I also just want for everybody out there to understand what Mom and Dad Army are before we even get to that announcement. I just really want to make sure that everybody gets that. I don't think all my audience knows, and I'm sure not everybody does. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No, you're good. Thank you for that reminder. So Mom Army is a survivor-led organization. More than half of our chapter leaders are survivors of child sexual abuse and even trafficking. So we work very hard across the country to end exploitation of children, especially with everything that's going on in all the different institutions in the education system, our government, the medical system, you know, all the systems that are coming after our children. So that's essentially what Mom Army is. Dad Army is an extension of that. They work very hard to restore family values and protecting women and children, as you can see with everything we're having to deal with women's spaces being infiltrated and all the things. So that's a nutshell of who we are, but you can find us at mom-army.com. Again, we're redesigning our website, so you'll get a fresh new website that's more engaging, that's going to be able to bring people on board for anyone who wants to join the battle to stop the war on children. So that's who we are.
Thank you so much. It's amazing work.
That's great.
Thank you.
And Mr. Adam Boyd, you ready to share the big announcement?
Good. So my name's Adam Boyd. I'm the founder of Soulful Training, which is an organization that creates wellness programs for other organizations. And who needs more wellness right now than the United States and Canada? So I came up with the Tour de Patriot, which is going to be a 1,200-mile bike ride through the 13 original colonies to try to ignite patriotism from a grassroots level, kind of Paul Revere-esque style. And along the way, we're going to do interviews with Americans about what it means to be an American and what do you think that we can do to better this country. I also have some things lined up with first responders, veterans, military installations, and other organizations along the way.
Okay,
That's
so that's
awesome.
interesting. So you're going to be doing this massive bike tour across a lot of states.
Yes, 13. So we're going to start in Exeter, New Hampshire, and then we're going to travel down the East Coast and eventually end in Savannah, Georgia, and then where we'll be throwing a gala to commemorate the event.
That's awesome.
That's heard by David. David's over in that area.
I sure am.
I love that.
I
Plant
wanna know
Riverside
what-
District down there. Beautiful, beautiful area in Savannah. I love it down there.
It sure is. It's beautiful. Nothing like the good old Peach State.
Mm.
Adam, I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to do this? What inspired the idea?
Well,
Was it me?
There's not a lot of pageantry around the story. I was actually in the hospital with my daughter, and I didn't have a lot of time on my hands. So I was just on my phone Googling, and I was curious about what the world's longest bar crawl was. It's 3,000 miles if you're curious.
Wow.
And I was like, that would be really cool to do here in the States, like, you know, like a Maine to Miami type thing. And then as I kind of sat on it longer, I was like, you know, I could probably do something a lot more proactive to be, you know, to better this country if I just kind of tweak that idea just a little bit. And that's how the Tour de Patriot was born.
That's amazing. And I have a special affinity to this because during COVID, I rode my bicycle across America. And I know that, you know, when you and I spoke about this, I was like, that's incredible because when I did it, I did it in a month and I didn't have any time anytime to see the cities I was in or just to really relax. So I love that you're doing it. You're doing it over the course of a month. It's the 13 colonies. And I'm really, really interested in seeing all these little things that people don't get to see on, every day, because you're going to go through these towns and these small areas that the big documentaries aren't going to cover, because they're more focused on like, the where they signed the Declaration of Independence and all these things. But to see the actual routes that you're going to take is going to be very eye-opening to people, to see where the Patriots actually marched, where they fought, where they died, not just where big ceremonial things happened. I think it's going to be really interesting.
So we have one of the things that we're going to do on the tour is a lot of the interviews are going to be done in taverns, just like they were in 1775 before the revolution. And for the government who's watching, this is no means an attempt at another revolution. Just throwing that caveat out there.
You got to throw the disclaimers out there.
I'm trying to just inspire patriotism and bring us back to a place where we can thrive as a country. But anyway, yeah, we're going to do the interviews in taverns, which I've spoken with 90% of them. Most of them are on board right now. I'm just waiting on a few emails back. So we have a lot of stuff locked down that I'm really looking forward to. And we really want to highlight the history along the way. I've already been in contact with multiple iconic historic sites along the route who are also on board with this. And it seems like we have a lot of buy-in so far.
That's amazing. For our audience, how can they follow this journey?
You can follow along at Soulful Training, or at Soulful Training, which is my Instagram. We're probably going to throw up a YouTube channel, but that's going to be the primary source right now.
And
there's also the website for the actual tour. So you can go to tourdepatriot.com. And then we also have an Instagram page that we're eventually going to start populating and making announcements on there too. So, and that's Tour de Patriot on Instagram as well.
And you guys, and I don't know if you have this answer yet, but is there going to be a way? So is this going to be done and then filmed and then made into something after, or is there a way that people are going to be able to follow along, maybe on like a daily basis or anything? I mean, I don't know if that hasn't even been brought up or anything, but just asking, because I think it'd be really unique to be able to wake up and just see where he's at, see what he's doing.
It's going to be a little bit of both. We definitely wanted to have it documented and something kind of put together to commemorate the event, but there's going to be some lives so people can follow along. You can also follow along with the schedule, which is on the Tour de Patriot website. But we want to have as much interaction with Americans as possible. Like, this is not about me. This is not about left, right, Trump, Biden. This is about Americans, like, just taking back their country and being proud of where we're from.
This seems like a really good thing to involve children in, and even to create some sort of, like homeschooling focus on. I think, it's a great offer for families to connect their kids with something that's really about connecting to the history of the land itself, really going to those physical places. I think there's a huge demand for that right now. And there's one of the first things I thought of, really kind of lends itself already to offering little lessons about these different places along the way.
I love that you brought that up, Simon, because the other goal is to build a massive coalition behind this initiative. It's to bring all the different groups, whether they're Patriot businesses, whether they're organizations that really support the core values of being proud Americans, and and sponsorship and all the things. So it's growing. The idea was the brainchild of Adam. Adam calls me from the emergency room and just, hey, I got this crazy idea. You're either going to think I'm crazy or you're going to think, I loved it right away as soon as he pitched it to me, and I said, we have to make this happen. And so Mom Army and Dad Army is fully on board with this initiative, and we really want to help bring a bunch of different people together and different organizations together. So we'll be reaching out. There will be sponsorship opportunities to get involved to help fund this. Obviously, we want to make sure that Adam is doing this safely and he's got the right equipment and all those things. So there's opportunities for in-kind sponsorships and all sorts of organizations and businesses to get involved with this project.
Absolutely. And I really love the emphasis on fitness as well, too. I mean, I know that there's a lot of instances in which people do runs for charity and things like that. I really love the emphasis on fitness, because as of right now, there's some people some people are talking about it, especially among conservatives, but period. Everybody should be talking about the diets we have and putting an emphasis on on the fitness aspect and making sure that we're getting out, having 30 minutes, an hour of physical fitness a day. And I feel like that truly is a part of making America great again, is ensuring that that we're making America healthy again. And I also want to point out, I love just a little bit, it was probably entirely unintentional, but this reminds me so much of Forrest Gump. And how he just,
oh my God, my husband said that.
and you guys are ending in Savannah, and in Chippewa Square in Savannah, Georgia is where Forrest Gump was filmed. I don't know. Maybe it's, I don't believe
Kevin, you know a lot about Forrest Gump, man. Big Tom Hanks fan, are we?
My dad used to live in Savannah, and I do really like Forrest Gump. It's the 30th anniversary of that movie this year. My dad and I bonded a lot over Forrest Gump growing up. But yes,
that's awesome.
That's actually where I got the idea to do my bike trip, was literally from Forrest Gump.
Oh my God.
He was just running.
That's awesome.
It's a patriotic movie, so
it really is. It actually really is. Yeah.
I wish that was the way that inspired me. Unfortunately, it was a Google search about alcoholism. And it's bigots,
well, you pivot very well. So I'm glad it's not focused on alcohol and it's focused on some really cool stuff. But speaking of Savannah, my friend knows the mayor of Savannah, so we're gonna reach out to the mayor and see if we can actually, maybe initiate a resolution and turn the last day of the tour into Tour de Patriot Day in Savannah or something. Just a dream, but we're gonna do some. Some
they
outreach.
got non-binary day, pansexual day.
They have that.
They could have one of them.
I can tell you the owner. I won't get too much into it because it's not me. It was my dad. But I know my dad used to work with Plant Riverside, which is like the entire river walk down there. And the owner of that franchise, of that Marriott franchise, is a very, very conservative individual. We could connect outside of this, and I'm sure that he could help out. He does a lot of great work. He really supports a lot of conservative-minded individuals legislatively. So,
that would be very awesome. Yeah, please do. Please connect us.
Absolutely.
That's great. Well, definitely let us know and come on anytime you want to give us updates as to what's happening, up to what's going on. When the Mom Army website is relaunched, definitely let us know. We love to update people on what you guys are doing, because you're always doing something. You're always somewhere with someone doing something, and I love it. And I want to, I want to show people exactly what life is like being an activist, and actually the people who are moving and shaking the world for the better and creating laws and, passing legislation and things like that. I think it's a really unique aspect for people to know about, because it seems like this crazy, just how do they actually do it? But you're doing it. And, and there's a lot of stuff that I know you said, you're figuring out as you go. And then you can now teach people that, which people who want to make a difference, instead of going out and protesting and really, just pissing people off and standing in front of roads to stop oil, you can actually do stuff in the legislature to help your community and your city and your state. So
yeah, I think the one message I want to leave everybody with is, Mom and Dad Army, we're really, really hyper focused on bringing people together and solutions. So that's why these initiatives are really important. I'll just tease it out for now. But the next big announcement is called the Hope Box for Mom Army. So I will share that when that project gets launched at the end of this month. But we're working on some really cool things. We're really just trying to find solutions and trying to find ways to bring people together.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure having you both on, and I can't wait to hear more and get some updates on this, because this is a really unique thing that I've never seen being done. So I'm personally invested in it. Just to see it happen.
And send us videos and everything like that. We'll post them. We'll repost them. Everything like that. We'll make sure that as many people see this as possible, because while it's on the East Coast, we have people nationwide that I'm sure would be affected by this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
If you know anybody that is looking to sponsor a bike, I don't own a bike yet, which is the craziest thing about this entire thing.
Adam, if you want, actually, this would be pretty cool. You can use mine. It's sitting in my house. I don't ride bikes anymore. I got it out of my system during that trip. I bought it for $500 on OfferUp, and it works.
Beautiful. As long as you don't mind me painting it. I wanted to pay homage to Paul Revere's horse, and I wanted to name the bike Brown Beauty.
Oh, it's beautiful.
So basically, you're gonna ride my bike and paint it. That sounds like a win-win. I'm down for that.
Awesome. You guys are wonderful. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to make this is the first announcement. We haven't shared
That's
this
awesome.
publicly, so it's being premiered here, and then we'll be pushing it out, and we're hoping that the support is going to come as people learn more about this project. So so stay tuned. More to come.
That's
Thank
incredible.
you so much. Thanks for coming
Thank
on,
you very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
We're going to take a quick little break, and we have another special guest, actually, Ali Mustafa from Young Americans Against Socialism. So we'll be right back after this commercial break.
Ooh.
And ladies and gentlemen, I want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Freedom 2O. They help us power this show and everything else we do. It's an incredible water company that stands up for the First Amendment. And well, David is drinking it in his glass.
I needed a glass today. Long day.
But they have really, really cool labels on it. They're also on Amazon now. So you can check them out on Amazon, freedom20.com. They have a really unique filtration process, which includes UV protection, or killing bacteria with UV light, reverse osmosis, and it has no fluoride, so it won't make you gay. So if you've been thinking about being gay, stop drinking water and drink Freedom 2O, and it'll help you make up your mind the right way. So
apparently that's the reason why
Science.
this generation is like 3 times more gay than the generation before that. Just
It
actually
actually is
all this
exploding.
water.
you
It's
have
true.
estrogen in your water. You have just a ton of stuff that the filters can't get.
Yep.
And like you would think with all this technology, we can actually build filters that would filter that stuff out. But no, apparently. Oh, complete side note. But the lady who runs the water department now, I believe it's in Los Angeles or California, she is now the highest paid employed in the state at $700,000.
Oh.
$700,000. And she looks exactly like you think she'd look. So I'm pretty sure she can donate quite a considerable portion of that to the Biden Victory Fund, just like George Soros did.
That's
oh yeah,
gay.
definitely.
That's very gay.
Well, we do have, I know we have a guest, but I do want to make sure everybody knows June is coming up. So be ready for everything to be gay.
Oh, you know what? They've already started. They've already started here in Toronto. I already went to the mall the other day. Someone had already erected an inflatable rainbow archway at the store front, the
Wow.
entrance.
Well,
Sounds like Canada.
Respectfully,
Sounds like
Canada is always a little gay.
yeah, exactly.
It's more
Sorry to-
gay every year because they changed it. They changed. It's not Pride Month anymore. They officially
Pride year.
call it Pride Season.
Oh wow.
That's on government websites. That's out of Justin Trudeau's mouth. It's Pride Season. So now it's just kind of loose. Goes on for many months. It's
That's
hellish.
incredible.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
Something
Well,
that
we have a very
socialists
special
don't like.
guest. Yeah, we have a very special guest that we're going to bring on. I'm very excited to have her. She's been on honeymoon. She's been traveling around. So I think we just got her as soon as she got settled back down. She's just recently married. So congratulations. I believe she got married. I don't want to speak, but I think she got married in Canada. I'm not sure.
Oh,
So,
wow.
there's a lot of Canada happening today.
might be gay married then. I think that's
So
what,
I want to
that's
bring
what gay
on
marriage is.
I want to bring on Ali from the Young Americans Against Socialism. Welcome.
Hey,
Hello.
welcome,
Hi.
Ali. Welcome,
Thank you for
welcome.
having me.
Of course.
To clarify, we were not married in Canada. We were married in California.
Oh, so
Oh,
same
sorry
thing.
about
same thing.
Same,
Yeah.
same,
Still
same.
gay.
Yeah, I cannot.
Congratulations.
Woo! Sorry, I'm having some issues with this light here. I'm just gonna leave it off. Anyway, I heard that what you said about the woman in California making the $700,000 salary, and that's not surprising for California at all. So,
I mean,
anyway.
look, I'm not opposed to people who do really important jobs, like not politicians, but people who do really important jobs to get paid very well. But in California, it's become a thing where you have people. Obviously, we have tons of homeless people here. The people who run these little programs, they're getting paid $200,000 to run these little programs, and I mean, it's just a disaster. It's a disaster.
Absolutely, yeah. It's simply unsustainable at this point. I mean, the longer it goes on, the worse it gets, because then, of course, all these people need raises and to get more in pensions, and it just degrades our society in the long term. And of course, I'm from California. I'm from deep blue California. And it was our generation who grew up seeing the housing crisis happen before our eyes. All the millennials, all my peers, we saw it from 2008 until, we were trying to get married and buying houses and owning property. And it just seems like an unattainable situation happening in these Democrat run cities. So
Yeah, I saw an article the other day. It says that you have to have an income of $340,000 to buy a house in California right now.
Yep.
Think about that. $340,000. Just 10 years ago, I think the average income was like $50,000 or $60,000 or something like that. I don't know
Around
what it is now.
still, yeah. It's
probably
still around there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah,
is.
I think I asked my parents how much they paid for their first house, and they didn't want to tell me because it's not going to happen again, and it's just a really sad situation that so many Americans are in.
The current average American income is $63,000, $63,000 to $64,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And insurance is up 50% in California, so that's not helping anyway. And also a lot of insurance are leaving California. I made a video about this a while ago, where you have State Farm farmers. They've all left the insurance market in California. So in order to get homeowners insurance, and here's my tinfoil hat thing. That's not really tinfoil hat. If the goal is to own nothing and be happy, as the World Economic Forum has said, how do you make people stop buying houses? You obviously inflation, all that stuff's already going. You have BlackRock buying up houses, SFRs, as they're doing, buying up. I think they're on pace to own something like 60% of all single family homes in the country by like 2020 something, I believe. But the other way you can do it is you make it not only do you make insurance extremely expensive, but you make it extremely hard to get homeowners insurance, and you cannot close on a home if you put less than 30, 40, 50% down. You have to have homeowners insurance. If you can't get it, you can't buy a house. So that negates all of that work you did, all that credit you built up, all the savings that you saved. You still can't buy a house.
Yeah. And I think it is California who is going to be doing something special for immigrants on their mortgage as well. I can't remember it verbatim.
So if you're the first person in your family to buy a home, you get, I believe it's something like $100,000 credit.
Right.
$100,000 credit. And now Biden just said another 10,000 for immigrants, another 10,000 on top of that.
Wild. And it's never anything for Americans who grew up here. We're left in the dust. Of course.
Oh my God.
And we all know that's a big aspect of being woke now, is putting the very own citizens that you represent in the backseat and putting all of these people in the front seat of it. So Ali, I know that Fabian said that you work with, or that you're the founder of. Is that correct?
I'm actually the CEO. I recently took over the organization. Morgan, the founder and former CEO, stepped down and asked me. So it's been a privilege to fill her role.
That's awesome. And what is the organization all about? What is it that you guys fight?
It's Yas, right? Yas.
That's an amazing name.
No.
It really is.
Well, it stands for Young Americans Against Socialism, and we are a nonprofit. We interview survivors of socialism, communism, oppression, and tyranny. Our last project was called The Freedom Records, and we interviewed 15 survivors of socialism. We did long-form interviews with them, and we were really able to have these deeper conversations about how the radical left moves in and seizes power and eventually propagandizes themselves and brainwashes people into supporting their dangerous regimes. And so basically we did those interviews. And while it's still our first love as an organization, we realized there were so many lessons that even Morgan and I were learning and putting together as we were doing these interviews. And we said, you know what, we can put all the lessons that we've learned together into a curriculum for families to teach their children about socialism. So that's our current project we're releasing very shortly in the next few days, I think. And so it's called Intro to Socialism, Intentional Lessons About Economic Independence in the Home. And it's made up of 5 lessons. And then we also, and additionally to the parent guide, we have discussion prompts. And then we also have research resources and activities that our team has put together for parents to do with their kids. So we're really excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
That
incredible.
is much needed.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. And the feedback we're getting from some organizations that we've reached out to are super excited about it. And we just really feel like this is going to meet Americans where they're at and give them the resources and information, the language, the knowledge, how to communicate these concepts and ideas to their children. And overall, just sparking a sincere love for freedom in the hearts of this rising generation. Because as millennials, and we grew up in deep blue states, both Morgan and I, we felt a little left in the dust. And, we were raised in conservative families, but we feel like we really missed out on some monumental and important, informative conversations that our parents could have had with us. So we're trying to catch the younger generation. We're trying to catch the parents now, because it's a completely different world than us millennials grew up in. So anyway, this stuff is super informative and exciting to go through with your kids.
I don't know that I've ever seen, and obviously we know that school has been red washed, meaning we don't learn about communism. We briefly go over it, but kids aren't learning about the deaths that happened, the trials and tribulations of people, the families that were just destroyed, the people that were upheaved, the families upheaved generationally, in places like that were just completely destroyed from this stuff. We don't learn about that. It's really interesting that you're making a course that people can take now, because it's crazy, because the information is out there, but it's all in these books that people don't even know how to find. So the fact that you're bringing all that information to them, I think it's a really critical point, especially right now in the world that we're living in, so that kids can kind of ramp up and understand what is going to happen if we allow this to take over. So I think that's extremely important. Do you know when about it's coming out, or is it?
We our official launch day is going to be probably in the next week. We're just waiting on a few more endorsements to come in, and we're excited to get those. So once we have that secured, it's going to be an awesome launch day. So they can head to our website, educatefreedom.com, and there you can sign up to be notified when our curriculum is going live. EducateFreedom.com. You can also follow organization on Instagram, YAAS_America. On Twitter, we're Educate Freedom. And then we also have YouTube's Educate Freedom and Young Americans Against Socialism.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah,
I'm wondering, is there any Christian outlook on this as well? I just know that oftentimes I hear, and maybe this is just an idea for the future too, I hear from lefties all the time, like, well, Jesus was a socialist because he turned the bread and fish into a lot for a lot of people and gave it away. So like, Jesus was a socialist, man. Like, is there any Christian or even Judeo-Christian outlook on this?
Not necessarily, but actually in lesson number 5, we do go through 9 myths that we believe that your children are going to hear in their peer groups and in public school. And so we address a lot of those kind of like, oh, gotcha kind of things from the socialists. And we more so explain it like, this is geared towards children as young as 8 to 9, right? And so we wanted to really take it as at the economic standpoint, because socialism is the economic step to get to communism, which is the tyranny and the murdering and the oppression, right? Socialism is this economic step that governments have to take in order to implement communism. So we really focus on that aspect, and we talk about democratic socialism. We talk about Nordic Europe. We talk about so many things. We even start with the most basic concept. What is free will? We have to be teaching young children the concept of free will, economic independence. What kind of aspects in the economy makes our economy decline and what makes it grow? And those concepts can be introduced to young kids, and they can totally get it. And in one of our activities, we have them make a business outline, and they can create a little business, and then we walk them through what it might feel like to have the government intervene on their business, what the
Wow.
government can say to them, how the government can seize those assets. So we really put them in the spot of someone who might have had to flee socialist Venezuela, and really get a sense of what that feels like.
This feels
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Simon, you're
Oh.
muted.
this seems like it really fits with the huge boom in homeschooling and unschooling that's going on. So do you see this really fitting in as a tool for this huge group of growing homeschooling families?
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been able to connect with a few homeschool online platforms. And so we're going to be offering our resources on websites like Home Tribe and, a few others that I don't want to say yet. But we're super excited. And we can definitely tap in to those families who, are looking into alternative education.
Ali, I wanted to get your take because obviously you're on the front lines of all this happening and fighting it. What is your take on the rise of this wokeism? And I'll call it wokeism because just people understand that word. Like they have a pretty good understanding, even though they don't have a specific, they know what it means. And it should make them frustrated and mad. But what's your take on today's climate and wokeism? Do you feel like it's hit its peak? Is there still more cultural revolution to be had by these lefties? I call them the spaghetti arm mafia, by the way, because they're all super unhealthy and just don't do anything fitness wise. And if they come after me, you can hit me with spaghetti arms. They're not going to hurt. It's fine.
But
I wanted to get your take.
Right wing, by the way.
Yes, it is like everything else.
Yeah.
But what's your take on that?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's funny that you say spaghetti arms because for the
Really?
last
segue. I'm so excited.
it's for the last couple days I've been really obsessed with the Paris Commune. I've just been deep diving and reading and watching everything that I can get my hands on about it. And the communists back then, in 1871, there's just something in that gene pool, right? It's just there's something not there all the way. And then you see the communists today and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm not afraid of you. What? I say the average commie is a furry and thinks he's gay. That's what we're dealing with here. But as far as wokeism goes, I do feel in a sense where we are a nation in healing. I recently saw something that the amount of times that C-level executives in U.S. companies have brought up or mentioned DEI in their businesses has dropped dramatically. We see, I think, in the University of Florida, they completely eliminated their entire DEI department. There's been several other colleges that have done the same thing. They've laid off all of their DEI people. And I think that we're on the decline from what, we're seeing with all of that. As far as the wokeism and the commies and the propaganda on college campuses, I think that's going to continue just because we're dealing with very persistent people and they will not stop. Something that I read in the Paris Commune, I really find it fascinating to read early communist writings because you can really understand where these ideas stem from in their writings. And these early communists were talking about the importance of when you seize the buildings and when you seize the land, you cannot there's no option to give it back to the government, right? And to continue to seize it, they need to be violent. These people are very violent. They see it as just a means to an end. Really, that's how they view it. You have to understand their ideology has very little logic and reasoning. It's violent to the core. And so we're going to continue to see these protests and the outbursts and things like that. But as far as it happening in corporate America and the business place, I think people are over it. I think generally people are really over hearing, the hate on white people and, all that business. So.
Well, even with that, though, I even wonder a little bit as to how good of communists these even are. Because I mean, when you read Marx, when you read Lenin a little bit as well, you realize a lot of those that are more communist, socialists, and in a way fascist about the way that they go around their communist beliefs all of them agree in the idea that the biggest divider among man is finance. Is in some way that it's the bourgeoisie versus the proletariat, and that's the way that it is. However, when you look at the communists of America, it's that we're all divided based on identity. It's that black versus white, brown versus white, gay versus straight, genital mutilators versus people that know truth, like all of those things. And while they discuss oftentimes the wealth versus the haves versus the have-nots, it's never the number one priority for them. It's only a part of the puzzle, and the bigger part of the puzzle is how much melanin you have in your skin or what you like to take up your ass. So
Right, exactly. I don't even think that they think that race is actually the issue. I think that they just use that as like a wedge to create a division. And it's really sad. It is.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you bring up the fact that in the early writings they say once you take something you do not give it up, because in Denmark there's a place called Christiania, and I've been there many times, and basically in the 60s these hippies took over this piece of land in Denmark and just were like, no, we're not going to give it back. And Denmark, being Denmark at the time, was like, okay, you can have it. And so there's this like lawless zone where you go in and you can't even have your camera out, but it's just like a big forest, and they have so like weed is legal there, or not legal, but it's not there's no police there. But just like typical communists, it's been like that since the 60s, and all they have in this place are like walkways and like 2 bars. There's never been an effort to build it up into something, to turn it into like a functioning society. It's just a bunch of bums and just a bunch of people smoking weed sitting there. And I'm like, this is the perfect example. If anyone who wants to know what living in communism is like, go to Christiania in Denmark, because it's been 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. It's been 60 years and nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
Yeah. That can be applied to so many places that have tried communism and are currently communist, such as obviously Cuba. And it's funny because on our socials, on Young Americans Against Socialism, we'll get commies in the comments all the time. Oh, commies in the comments, here we go. And they're, if it's ever about Cuba, it's meh, it's the sanctions, meh, the sanctions. And it's just like, okay, so you actually do need a capitalist country and capitalist concepts to run a proper country. And they just have all these little lame excuses. But yeah, the the degradation that happens in a communist society is really interesting, because so again, Karl Marx and Engels, they wrote about how the lower class, the vagabonds and the prostitutes, and all those kinds of criminals,
my people
are right. They can't really be used for the revolution. That's what Karl Marx always wrote about. But then it was actually Mao Zedong who actually said, I think that we can put these people to use, and use their criminality and their lawlessness to create this society where it's really hard for capitalism to survive. And we saw that a lot with the BLM protests, when they were bashing all the store shops, their windows and everything, and vandalizing these cities. And it's so hard for these companies to stay in business. That is what the communists want. They want a society where capitalists, landowners, farmers cannot succeed. They themselves have to be the agitator to tear it down. That's what they want. Just complete demolition of our current society. So anyway, I think I lost my train of thought there, but I'm just going off on a communist society. What's that? Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that, by destroying all of that, that's the only way that you can get the people to actually, physically depend on the government. So makes sense why they go through all of that. That's really interesting stuff, Allie.
Yeah, going to your point about Cuba, obviously I'm Cuban, if anyone didn't know. My parents come from Cuba, and my grandma told me she was there when Castro took over, and he basically took over. I think like AT&T was there. It was a bunch of American companies that were there, and he came in and he basically took over everything and all the and he basically made the companies sell their buildings for pennies on the dollar, sell their businesses pennies on the dollar. They took all their professionals, all their technicians back to the US, and everything was just destroyed. There was no one there to run any of the companies, any of the business. No one was investing any money, obviously. And then everything's just from one day to the next, it was done. And it never has recuperated. And she tells me, stories about how they were eating Russian dog food, literally dog like cans from Russia, because they would get all their food from Russia. They would open it, and she's like, "This is not food. This is food for dogs." And they couldn't read the Russian on it, so they found a Russian, someone who spoke Russian. He's like, "Yeah, that's dog food," and that's what they were feeding to keep in population. And she has tons of stories like this. So when I see people say, "Oh, communism," I'm like, you idiot. Just go somewhere. You know what? Go to India. I love India, but if you want to see a country that's destitute, go to India. Stay there for a month. You can't complain to anyone because even the commies have more than anyone else there. So what are you going to complain about? What kind of injustice are you going to complain about there? They have generational homelessness there. So all these spaghetti arms could go eat some more spaghetti.
But it's tricky though. It's tricky because you have now the seemingly grassroots communists, right? The people who are out there with the actual pictures of Karl Marx and all that. But then you have just the everyday people who have been ideologically subverted by these communist ideas. And so, for example, like the mothers who have been subverted by the sort of queer theory approach to education and raising their children, they're told, they need to transition their kids, and they're brought into a Marxist ideology about gender and identity, but they have no idea that's what it is. They're just listening to doctors thinking, I better do what they say, help my kids. So there's, it's interesting that we have both versions of that ideological spread. You have the people who are actually advocating for communism overtly, but then the people who are just victims of the psychological warfare that maybe they wouldn't be into it if they really knew it was communism.
Such a good point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good.
Listen, I have an idea because we have Kev's quick hits right after this. And Allie, I don't think you know what that is, but it's basically Kevin has stories and we just do quick takes on it, and it's really fun, everything. So I don't know if you have anything to do, but if not, you're more than welcome to stick around for Kev's quick hits because it's a lot of fun.
Okay, let's do it.
It's gonna be a blast.
All right, so why don't we take a little commercial break, recharge the batteries. Communism sucks, but spaghetti arm people suck. We're gonna take a little commercial break, and we're gonna have some fun, making fun of some different people. We'll be right back.
Blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about? Here, have some freedom to up. Man, the Constitution is awesome. That's what it is.
All right, Kevin, you're gonna give me like 30 seconds. I need to get the Kev's quick hits because I'm doing production
It's time
today.
for
Wait, Kevin.
quick hits. I'm gonna start breaking stuff.
You gotta start breaking stuff
because it's time for Kev's quick hits. We're gonna have some.
By the way,
That's
Ali,
quick
that's
hits.
Kev. That's Kev right there.
Okay,
That's me
awesome.
right here. So we got some quick hits. We're gonna start off with PETA. Everybody, I don't know if you guys know PETA. They're the people that are super into animals, like a little bit too much, kind of like.
Yeah, it's weird.
There's some goat fuckers kind of people, but people for the ethical treatment of animals. They criticized New York City Mayor Eric Adams for saying he, quote, hates rats, which regularly run through the subway system and invade buildings in the Big Apple. Not even to mention the fact that they carry disease. And while there's a cute Disney movie about them making food, that's not realistic, everybody. The furry rodents often scurry through subways and rummage through trash on the streets of the Big Apple. People have been complaining in New York City about a major rat problem for quite a while now. However, this animal rights advocacy group view rats as good things. Adams said, quote, that could apparently use a lesson on showing kindness and respect for all New Yorkers, according to PETA. So PETA is defending the rats, everybody. These things, like I said, carry disease, do not make food, are more than a nuisance. What are your guys' thoughts on PETA defending the rats over Mayor Eric Adams?
Let's start with our guest, Allie.
Oh, okay. Well, just even looking at those pictures, I was like squirming a little. I'm not a fan of rats. But even if you did want to like pretend like you had compassion for rats, I don't know if I would even say anything because they are a nuisance. They're disgusting. So yeah,
Well,
that's
they
my
caused
take.
the bubonic plague,
Yeah.
and I have seen videos of the illegal immigrants cooking the rats on a spit. Literally, like
Ugh.
I felt like I was back in Vietnam when I saw the dogs just like that. But they're literally cooking and the rats are huge, huge. And I'm like, what in the hell's going
Nasty.
on in New York, man? What is going on with New York?
Nasty. No, thank you.
What the
Not for me.
hell? David, Simon, thoughts on the rats and PETA defending them?
I'm personally just surprised that they didn't call the mayor racist. So that's all I could really think about right there. Is like, wow, first time they didn't call him racist.
Well, he's black, so
Yeah.
yeah.
We've
Well,
heard
I
it
think
He
plenty
has
of
that
times.
black shield. He has that racial shield.
Doesn't work against Larry Elder, apparently.
Simon?
Well, I think that the heart of what is going on with PETA and other extreme vegan groups is kind of apropos to you being here, Allison, because I really think the problem is that they've injected a kind of neo-Marxism into the way we think about animals. And this is true. They really think about it as, animals as a kind of oppressed proletariat that are subservient to us. That's why no one should eat animals. So they really do use Marxism to frame the role of animals in our society. So I'll just say this is more of that nonsense. So, down with Marxism and communism. Forget all
Amen.
of that.
Probably why there's gay animals, Kevin.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, Simon, is you're jumping ahead a little too much because not only are the rats amazing in New York, the animals are also all gay, according to Animal Planet. Not Animal Planet. This is Peacock.
Planet.
Everybody.
Queer
Yes,
planet.
no, Queer Planet.
Queer
So,
Planet.
Queer Planet.
There's NBC Universal Peacock streaming services diving headfirst into the mating habits of the animal kingdom with Queer Planet. Take a look and listen. We're going to watch the trailer right here.
Our planet is home to over 11 million species.
The paparazzi really are everywhere.
Everything you were taught as a kid is wrong.
You make me wanna dance. Gay penguins, bisexual lions, sex-changing clownfish.
This is a queer planet.
Queerness has always existed. It's only in humans that we have such a stigma about it.
The idea of just having two fixed sexes is clearly out of style.
Mother Nature is pretty open-minded. Sex is not just for reproduction.
It's clear that no matter where you look on our planet, nature is full of queer surprises.
To be honest, we should all probably get laid a little more than we do.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh my
Let's
God.
give animals the freedom water so they're not gay anymore, guys. This is an amazing business opportunity. Let's
Seriously.
contact Peacock.
So this is a real thing that is actually coming out this Gay Pride Month, is that Peacock is going to be airing this documentary about how animals are gay. I have my thoughts, and I'll get to those, but I want to know your guys. What are your thoughts?
Go ahead, Allie.
I mean, it's so disturbing, and it really is just like it shows how much our culture has just completely degraded. And I overall just find it very, very disgusting. I would feel uncomfortable watching an entire hour of gay
Well,
animals.
I think it's a series. Like, I think it's going to be
Yeah.
like
What on earth?
Yep.
Guys,
Okay.
we have to watch it live.
I think
No,
I
I
think
think we
I
have
gotta.
to.
That's my thoughts, and I still want to know you guys'. But like in my head, I think this is gonna like. I saw all these conservative commentators coming out on Twitter like, "This is terrible. This is so bad," and I agree with most of their assessments.
we gotta
But
have
in
fun.
my head, I think this will probably be one of the most unintentionally funny things I will ever watch because
I'm
all
with
these
you.
all these people are gonna think that like they're gonna be like, oh yes, we're doing so much for the queer society. Like this is so great for the rainbow people, and I'm gonna be sitting there laughing my ass off as they're telling me like it's so natural for a lion to bite its nuts off. Like, no, that's not how it works.
Well, here's the thing. What
Seriously.
they hate, because they think they're the smartest people in the world, that they figured out that there's more than two genders. They think they're Einsteins. They hate to be made fun of. And that's exactly what I always do on my social media. Because sure, we can teach people these really, really deep technical meanings about what they want to do and stuff like that. But sometimes just calling them spaghetti art mafia soy boys, that does the job that it needs to do for people who don't have the capability to get really, really deep in the weeds. So the more that we talk crap on these people, or, on these bozos, I call them spaghetti art mafia, people just start laughing like, hey, that is kind of stupid. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to start laughing as well. And that's what kills their entire shtick.
Bring back bullying, baby.
I have to totally agree with you how, like, I felt the same way. I was right away excited. As soon as I saw this, I retweeted it immediately and said, I can't wait to make memes with this. That's the first thing I thought of, because like the videos from this are going to make the best memes. So that's one of the first things I thought of. But now that we watched that together, I'm thinking about it again. The thing I can't get out of my head is the fact that this series involved people like hiding with cameras, trying to wait for a moment of gay animal sex, like, trying to like hunt it down in nature, and that there were literally people like lurking in the bushes trying to get some like gay lion sex.
They're like, hey Rob, you get that shot? Like, nah, man, it's a bunch of hetero animals again. All right, we'll try tomorrow.
Oh man, it's almost like these animals are having sex to reproduce, like it's like a natural thing or something. Like, what the heck? It's crazy.
That's actually my thoughts. It's like, do you guys think that the animals know that they're gay? Like, it's like they're forcing it on them now. It's like same thing that we're having with the kids and whatnot. So
I don't know.
Or do you think they know they're being watched, and it's about, and they're voyeuristic animals? Maybe that's a whole other episode.
Seriously. Well, here's the thing though, guys, is that not only is that all happening on Peacock, we even have an entire country now that is coming out on the opposite side, the country of Peru, where Dylan Mulvaney went to escape to feel safe away from everything, now says that trans people are officially classified as, quote, mentally ill. Out of the Daily Mail, a little bit of this. Peru has officially classified trans people as mentally ill under the decree signed by President Dina Boluarte. Transsexualism, dual role transvestitism, gender identity disorder, and childhood, basically all the belief in what is not, is now considered a mental illness. The move comes just days before the 34-year anniversary of the World Health Organization's removal of homosexuality from the list of international classifications of diseases, and has prompted fury among rights groups. The WHO has removed transsexuality from its disease manual in 2019, when a new version of the ICD was proposed and came into effect in 2022. And Peru's government argues the decree will make psychological treatment freely available to those affected. So not only are they claiming it's a mental illness, they're also making psychological treatment freely available. This is very interesting coming out of a South American country. I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's an entire theory about the pink wave and how socialism, Marxism, and this idea of all this stuff has come through South America, but is now changed due to the election of Javier Milei in Argentina. We can start seeing this change in Peru. Are we going to start seeing these things in America? What do you guys think?
So I was just in Colombia last month or a month and a half ago, and I was talking to, the people with me who were from Colombia, and they had no idea that kids were having their genitals removed in the name of equity, in the name of diversity. They're like, what in the hell? What is, no, that would not fly here. So these guys were pissed, right? And I'm asking them questions, and they didn't even understand all this stuff that's happening here. It doesn't really work there, this whole diversity stuff, because they're all poor. Like, they're not poor, but they're all basically at the same level. So it's having a really hard time taking hold from the people that I was speaking to. And at some point you just got to be like, this doesn't make any sense. And I think we're starting to see some of that happen in South America. Thank God.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to bring up the fact that, South America has been going through this pink wave. So that it is surprising to see Peru do this. And I'm curious what the response will be from other countries down there. Brazil's obviously kind of lost right now. But usually when this kind of thing happens, where a country or a state takes a stance against this LGBTQIAS whatever agenda, is they double down. So it will be interesting to kind of watch what Brazil might do if they're going to double down on something. And maybe some of the woke politicians up here are going to comment, but Dylan Mulvaney going shortly after they did this, or I don't know if he went before or after.
So Dylan back
okay.
about 6 to 8 months ago, went to Peru and claimed like he filmed himself on Machu Picchu and was like, oh my God, I needed to get away. And so I came to Peru. Yay. And now months later,
you do a good DV.
That's not a compliment. So, screw you. That's not a compliment.
That's funny. But yeah, the irony and also God's humor is great here. That's my take.
I almost feel like Dylan Mulvaney went there and Peru saw what the hell all this is about. And they were like, yeah, we need to ban this immediately. And look at that. Look, I love the beautiful thing about this, that the socialists can't be too mad. These leftists, they can't be too mad because they're offering a social program at the end of the day. You having issues, no problem, the government will pay for it. Go get your treatment. So they can't be too mad at the end of the day.
That's actually a good, I mean, they're actually helping with what was supposed to have been done with these people that have this mental illness. That's what you're supposed to give them help, not affirm their degeneracy or their lunacy, their mental illness. We have a country being run by mentally ill people that have been drinking too much fluoride, and now we're saying, oh no, you know what, you're right, because I don't want to be offensive.
Exactly. And imagine walking into like a therapist's office and being like, I believe I have depression, and they were like, good.
They're like, yeah,
you're supposed to.
No, I mean, the best part about this is that it goes against WPATH, right? So that's really, when you see a country standing up against the World Professional Association for transgender health, it's a really good sign, because what they've demanded since 2019 is the depathologization of gender incongruence, which means they don't want it to be assessed as anything even related to illness, right? They've been fighting for this. So this is what WPATH's been pushing for. When a nation stands up against that, it's an amazing victory, because it means they're turning their back on WPATH, just like the United Kingdom just did by completely reversing their gender affirmative care system and taking away puberty blockers from children. So anything that pushes back against WPATH is good. And to your point, David, really, it's actually statistically known that since this crazy removal of all medical gatekeeping for kids getting access to gender affirmative care, the people who have real clinical gender dysphoria, who actually need help, have not been able to get it, because these clinics are all clogged up with anxious teenage girls that don't have clinical gender dysphoria, but they're in the system anyways. So it's actually true that the people who really need the help have not been able to get it now.
Yeah,
absolutely. And speaking of those that are mentally ill and all the takes you just have, we have a special message from a mentally ill person to each and every one of us. So take a look and listen to this.
Hi there. You can either respect my trans homies, or I can identify as a fucking problem. And if I catch your bitch ass being disrespectful, your pronouns are going to be was, were. Thank you for coming, and have a nice day.
There it is.
So
that's honestly pretty scary, and not because I'm scared physically of it. It's because it's scary. It's a freak.
So that was our next quick hit. I'm just curious what you guys think about that.
I'm terrified.
I look.
I could smell
think
it from
her
here.
pronouns, or whatever that individual identifies as, their pronouns are was, were, because they're not there anymore. So
oh yeah, they're long gone, long gone in fairy tale land.
Oh my God. So that's what we have. And then you'll have people. I think the reason why I think that was important to bring up right after the story before is because to show Peru is out here making strides, saying like, yeah, this is a mental illness. And then we have people in America that are like, yeah, I support that person who just threatened to kill a bunch of people. Like that's not mental illness. That's not abnormal. That's a normal thing.
I see stuff like this, and I really, really think about that parable about the ants in the jar. We have the red ants and the black ants in the jar, and the question is not about the red ants or the black ants. It's about who's shaking the jar, because I really see things like this, and I think, man, this is just more of the two sides being played against each other, the outrage building, like deep in the division, keep people angry at each other. So I really think about, when I see stuff like that, the social engineers that want people more deeply divided, more angry at each other, building that rage. And this is a problem, even in my neighborhood, there's tags around my neighborhood that literally say trans youth bash back. And that's
wow.
it's like tagged around different spots. So these people are being radicalized and they are mentally ill. But my biggest problem is that there are people who are knowingly radicalizing both sides and benefiting from it.
No,
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bunch of pissed off dudes that are on estrogen. Like, how unstable are you going to be if you're a dude taking a ton of estrogen, drinking a bunch of fluoride, and then you're reading all these like Marx and Lenin and Mao and being like, oh, I figured the world out, but I can't even figure out my own gender. Like, how does that make any sense? I mean, geez, that's why people can't balance their own budgets anymore.
No, you're absolutely right. And this is why I think to myself that this country can't have nice things. And then I think about other stories of which this country can't have nice things. And so I don't know if you guys heard, but so we're gonna end the quick hits where we started in New York City. So in New York City, they recently had this portal thing that opened up that was a portal to Dublin. And so these organizers have pulled the plug on the New York City Dublin portal that happened for now because raunchy behavior has run rampant. The plug has been pulled on this entire portal because of the 24-hour live stream has had a bunch of crazy behavior. You've had women flashing their chests. You've had people asking to send nudes. Quote, instances of inappropriate behavior have come from a very small minority of portal visitors. That's what they try to say. It's just like when they say that there's that they're mostly peaceful protesters. It's a very small minority of portal visitors have amplified on social media this raunchy behavior. In New York, we have a set of protocols in place since the portal's launch. So, I mean, if you can scroll down, you can see all these pictures. There's been just it took very little time for people to start doing very, very inappropriate things. What do you think this says about it as briefly as you can? What does this say about humanity? What does this say about our ability to connect with one another?
Somebody had the idea to open a chatterbait across the world and let everyone see, and they're surprised that this happened. Like, what did you think was going to happen? If you can't talk to anyone, you can only see it. What do you think? This is New York. People are roasting rats on spits outside. We have migrants upon migrants that are just flooding it. Come on, like New York, what the hell is going on? I thought we were crazy. New York takes a cake.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Fabian. Is anybody really surprised that when you open a portal essentially between New York or America and Europe, right? We can, I guess, kind of call Ireland Europe. It is. That they're flashing us pictures of the Twin Towers burning and we're selling our OnlyFans to them. I'm not really that surprised at the end of the day. So
how much different is this than 4chan? Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
No.
Yeah, we're just an extremely demoralized country, I think, at this point. It's the, sexual revolution, feminism, all that stuff has just, kind of enticed people to act their absolute worst. And we have a culture that tolerates it. So, yeah, it's not too surprising at this point, unfortunately. So
absolutely. And I'd even say that there's a debate to be had when it comes to the pornographic content, the freedom of speech on different social media platforms such as X, 4chan, 8chan, things like that. That could be something that we cover on our Tuesday show, Fabian. Is so. How much speech is too free? Even could be a question.
Oh, that's a good topic. Actually, we should do it for the debate show that we've been trying to get started.
Yep, exactly. Next Tuesday, let's do it. Simon, I know that I might have skipped over you on that one. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I had a really innocent, wholesome moment when it came to this story. Amanda was showing it to me, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. Look, it's everyone just enjoying each other. That's so wholesome. And I actually said that. And as I was saying that, she's like, oh, nope, someone flashed. And just immediately showed me the video of the girl with like her shirt up. And I was like, damn it.
Reminds me of the South Park episode where he gives the money to the bank And he's like, and it's
And
gone.
it's gone. It's
like, what?
and it's gone.
He's like, I'm sorry, this bank is only for customers. He's like, but I just gave you my money.
And it's gone. Well, that everybody.
It's the OnlyFans culture. I mean, I think OnlyFans is ruining so many things. I think it's like a force. I go to open Instagram now and just straight porn pops up now. With
I literally did like an hour part of my show 2 weeks ago about that. So we
It's
need to be
gross.
talking about that more. My main issue I'm focusing on, it used to be, I still care a lot about the trans groomers and all that stuff, but it's the fact that everybody wants to talk about that. Still, the majority of our society is straight, and what is ruining young men is pornography, and it is coming in the form of OnlyFans and casual thirst traps, and even generally wholesome content that then gets infused with lustuous content.
Well, the entire point of porn right now is to pervert people's minds into becoming trans and to accept queer living, meaning just any type other than heteronormativity. And that's what it's doing. So every time people log on and watch porn, it's going to be some random stuff that you're not expecting to see. And you see it enough times. And, you know, the whole point is to get you to be like, well, you know, I've seen it so many times and now I'm not as like disgusted, but I'm kind of interested. So let me click it. And that's what they're doing to the young generation, little by little, showing you stuff that should not be there, that you don't want to see, but they're going to show it to you anyway.
And that's how you get even Simon to dress like a woman.
Oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
He was doing research for his character.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. But everybody, that's this week's version of Kev's Quick Hits right there.
Oh yeah.
Boom,
Awesome.
boom, boom.
Awesome.
Cody production would have been on top of that.
I know. It would have been on top.
Yeah. We kind of. Do you guys want to run it real quick? You want to read that part, Kev?
Okay, everybody. That was Kev's Quick Hits.
It's all about
There you go.
To smash an actual computer so we can put him in there or smash something. He said he's a good smasher. I've been wanting to see him smash.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll have that happen.
Get some 4K footage of Kev smashing some stuff.
Kev, we got to just get you into like a one of those like where they have all the trash at. Oh no, he's gonna smash, guys. He's gonna start
smash this
smashing
right now. I swear, right here, my
Guys,
stool. I
he's
sit
gonna
on
start
right
smashing.
there. Smash that shit.
One day we're gonna get somebody that'll piss Kev completely off, and that's how we'll see him rage like crazy. Allie, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah,
that was
thank you.
awesome. Thank you for sticking around for that extra segment and doing Kev's Quick Hits with us. It's always
course.
fun
They weren't
to meet
very
another
quick
person.
tonight, but
No,
Hey, it's all good. But that does it for our Thursday night show. So thank you everybody that stuck around and watched everything. Of course, please follow us everywhere that you can. Allie, where can everybody follow you, by the way? I just realized we never shout you out.
Oh, sure. It's Allie Bella, ALLIEBELLA is my personal. And then my nonprofit is linked in my profile. So you can follow us from there. Yeah.
wonderful.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank
Make
you.
sure you go follow Breakaway USA wherever it is. YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all the different places. Make sure you follow all of our personal accounts. David K. Guys, you gotta stay around. It's too many now for me to remember.
Speechless with Kev. Speechless with Kev. Really easy.
No, isn't it Speechless Kev?
Or you could find that. Well, if you Google Speechless
okay.
with Kev, you'll find everything. It'll be right there.
All right.
There you go. We got Fabian and Simon as well. All their handles, you can find them on Breakaway USA all the time. And we'll be right back to it Monday. Oh, no. What am I talking about? We got our Friday show, our Utah folks. And then we also got Speechless with Kev on Sunday.
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll be right back to our Monday news show on Monday, of course.
Monday.
So thank you
All right.
guys. And thanks for being
everyone.
here. Have a
Thank
good night.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.